can see it. All right. Well, good morning, all of you, and welcome to the What Works marketing webinar. My name is Elizabeth King, and I'm the owner of King PR and Marketing. And I really specialize in branding and marketing strategy. I've embraced the fact that I love being a solopreneur. It is so much fun for me, but that gives me the ability to work with so many different experts in different fields. And so that's really how this whole webinar series came about, is because when I would go out and I would network and I'd meet with clients, everyone always asks, what works when it comes to marketing? And so I thought, okay, let's start answering some of these questions that people are having, because marketing changes all the time. And so what I really want is to be able to help inform people about, so what are some of the new things that are out there? How has marketing changed? How maybe do you need to adapt or add some new tools into your marketing strategy that will help your business grow? One of the most important and ever-changing things that is happening these days is digital marketing. And so Jenna and I had a conversation, and there were so many things that even knowing it's an important tool, she was sharing things that I was like, oh gosh, this is really big, and a lot of people need to know more about digital marketing. So I'm really excited that she's with us today. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. All right, so today we are talking about a digital nomad's guide to online marketing. So let's talk all about online marketing and what you need to know. So because I specialize in marketing strategy, I'd like to start a little bit talking about the difference between marketing strategy and tactics, because sometimes there's a confusion between the two. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jenna, and she's going to be talking about programmatic ad buying, digital marketing platforms and tools, and really how to effectively use digital marketing. So I'm going to open it up to a Q&A at the end, but if you have questions along the way, just add it to the chat. And so we can make sure that we get your questions answered. All right, so what is a marketing strategy and what goes into it? Well, it's really just following a communication plan, and I call it the 5 keys. And so this is a system I work with on all of my clients to really help make sure that we are getting everything that you need and really evaluating how well your marketing is working. So it always starts with an assessment. I find that people forget to do an assessment and they forget to do an evaluation at the end. But an assessment is really where you're establishing your brand. This is your company identity. This is your key messaging. This is what sets you apart from all your competitors. And you really need to understand who you are as a company, even if you do the same thing as 5 other competitors, why you do what you do, your core values. There are things that you do that are different, your unique selling points. All of those things that you do that make your company special, you need to be able to understand so that you can really hone in on your key messages for all of your other marketing efforts. The other part of that is understanding your ideal customer. And I know Jenna's going to talk about that today, but understanding your ideal customer, not just the demographics, but what are their behaviors? What are the things that make them unique? And where do they get their where do they get their information? That is really important to understanding how to really utilize digital marketing and all of your marketing efforts, so you're not wasting time and money on things that don't work. Now, the second part of this is goal setting. I mean, your marketing really does need to align with your business goals. And so it's figuring out, okay, for Q1, we're going to focus on this specific area of the business, and we're going to create a marketing campaign so we can, and with some really measurable goals, so that we can figure out, okay, is this working or not? And then it just goes into planning, which is kind of what we're talking about today. It's like, what tactics do you need to achieve those goals? And then there's simply the implementation and executing the plan. But for me, it's so important to go back. Let's evaluate at the end of this campaign, what worked well? What tactics, what messages really resonated with my customers and moved the needle towards the goal that I was trying to establish. And so all of those things go into creating an overall marketing strategy. But today, let's focus on digital marketing as one of those tactics, because it's big and it's important. And so I am going to introduce our presenter today. Jenna Harkreeder was born and raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where she graduated from Bishop Kelly High School. She attended Oklahoma State University, where she caught an early interest in advertising and earned an intern at the Stillwater News Press. She obtained a bachelor's degree in marketing and communications and has spent the past 11 years helping businesses understand advertising and marketing media landscape to aid them in expanding their company's brand awareness and increase sales revenue. Jenna began her media career selling print and digital ads for the newspaper. And after working for the Tulsa World, she went on to sell TV, digital, and radio advertising for the Cox Media Group. Jenna began realizing the magnitude and importance of digital media, and that's when she decided to move to a company that sells 100% performance digital marketing solutions, Huddled Masses. As the industry evolves, she is honored to help companies understand their place in the digital landscape while increasing their return on ad spend. So welcome, Jenna. I'm excited to hear what you have to say today.
Thank you. Very nice introduction. Well, I'm very grateful to be here, and thank you guys all for joining to hear a little bit more about digital marketing and Huddled Masses. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen now. Second. Where are you? Here we go. All righty, let's get started. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
Might go, yes, perfect. Okay, cool. So again, this is just a little bit of a dive into digital marketing and advertising, because the journey can feel somewhat nomadic sometimes, because we're so inundated with different marketing strategies or advertising platforms that sometimes it's nice to just take a step back and have a little bit of direction and hopefully get a better grasp on it as a whole to help your business is our end goal. So a little bit about Huddled Masses. We were founded about 10 years ago now. We're owned by a larger digital conglomerate based out of Houston, Texas, Direct Digital Holdings. We have a great team. We are family owned and operated, and Huddled Masses is a smaller team, which makes us really be able to work closely with our partners. We essentially become part of your team, because our main goal is not just take your advertising dollars, hope we can find somewhere for them to work. Our goal is to actually create conversions and performance metrics that aid you in growing your business. So like Elizabeth mentioned, I have sold TV, radio, and newspaper in my past, all while selling digital marketing. And, people come to us every day and say, you should advertise here, you should advertise here. Well, what we're seeing is the growth of digital marketing becoming not only sometimes the only platform of advertising a company does, but a huge part of it. And I think all of the media streams can work together. However, the landscape of marketing is changing and has changed since the introduction of the internet. So really grasping, how does this either A, work into my marketing plan, or B, is it a smart decision to move all of my ad revenue to digital marketing? Lots of questions And again, it's an evolving landscape. So what we want to do is try to simplify that a little bit for you and understand the importance of it in your marketing model. So why should I market digitally? Why is digital marketing important to my brand? So I'm not going to read all the stats because I know everybody can read here, but it gives you a nice idea of the growth of digital marketing and how it's going to continue to grow. So most of these numbers are, well, all of our numbers are in the billions, and that's revenue, consumption, and of course I had to put a little funny one on here. 75% of Americans take their mobile device to the bathroom. So when I say digital marketing can reach consumers anywhere they are, it's a true statement, right? So you can touch them in every step of their journey, unlike any other media that's honestly ever been around. So competitive pricing, which a lot of people want to know, how do I measure success? How do I figure out the dollars that I'm spending are providing a return on my investment? So what digital has allowed advertisers to do is really see a return on their ad spend, decrease the cost per acquisition of a customer. Cost per click is something we can measure. Customer acquisition cost is something we can measure. So the optimization and the results are really a main part of why you should be investing digitally, because you can track your dollars now better than you've ever been able to. So we also can target customers and consumers on a scale that we've never been able to, as far as personal data and information, and taking that and talking to the people that are in a higher propensity situation to become one of our #1 customers. So one of the big parts of digital marketing is called programmatic advertising. So we call programmatic advertising working through a machine. So when you think of a machine, sometimes these are what we think of. Well, it's a machine with inside of our computers and our smart devices that work faster than we can even count. So what programmatic is, it is the buying of data to be able to target your customers through their behaviors, their interests, their patterns, their demographic information. All of that is captured. So if you think 10 years ago, when I worked at Tulsa World, we didn't have the ability to target audience based on data. You just bought impressions and you ran on different websites and hoped that somebody that was on that website became a customer of yours. With programmatic ad buying, we're decreasing the ad waste, and we are making sure that our ads are reaching people that are in a target category that we know could be a good customer or patient, depending on your business. So we're taking the information that the internet has about us, and we're using that data to target our customers. So programmatic ads are bought through what they're called DSPs. So that's an abbreviation you may hear if you're ever discussing digital marketing with a partner. So a demand side platform is a company that collects data and then puts together audience information, and a digital company will use to buy that inventory or audience from a DSP. So the DSPs that Huddled Masses partners with are listed here. Lasso is our medical DSP. So we're able to target potential patients based on medical data, from prescriptions someone may take to an illness they may have or be in a higher propensity to get a certain illness, to over-the-counter drugs that they may take, doctors they visit. We can also target healthcare professionals by NPI numbers. So every healthcare professional has what they call an NPI number. They're all public information. So we can actually serve ads to medical professionals based on knowing their NPI numbers. So if you are a healthcare client, you may say, I want to reach oncologists. We can pull a list of oncologists in a certain demographic area and target them with your ad. Of course, Amazon has a DSP, so they are providing information. We obviously are seeing a growth in the medical marijuana and CBD industry. That's a little bit more complicated because of legalities, but we do have a partner that we can use that they follow all the laws of the CBD and medical marijuana advertising. So we can even target people through that DSP. So a lot of people say, okay, well, how does this even work? How does the internet collect this data? So to give you a real life example here, you can see you have a web visitor and we have an advertiser who wants to buy an ad to target that visitor. So there's an online exchange similar to the stock market where companies like Huddled Masses go in and they will set a rate and you're bidding for that spot. So I think I put on a later slide, but keep in mind, this all happens in 1/10 of a second. So that's how fast these algorithms are pulling data and pulling open ad space. And from there, it goes to a real-time auction. And then whoever the best looking client and the most competitive rate client is, they will usually get that spot. Now, keep in mind, there's millions and millions of ad impressions available. So just because somebody loses the bid on one spot doesn't mean that your ads aren't going to show in another website that could be affiliated with who you're wanting to reach. But that is, again, why people work with digital marketing companies, because we handle all of the back end algorithms and buying for you to take something off your plate. So for an example, if Words with Friends, for example, had an open ad spot, what the ad exchanges will do is they will bid on a spot in that app. So during the auction, potential bidders receive information of what's available. If it's determined that the spot is in line with your business or who you're trying to reach, then that information will be sent to Words with Friends as a bid request, and then a winner is chosen. From that, we can get information such as a device ID, an IP address, and the operation system that they're using. All of this data gets collected to even further future ad buys. So as you can see here, advertisers look at a bid request, they decide who's going to work best for their app, and then they serve or they give that app ad to that advertiser, and then it is placed for the end user to see. Again, all of it happens very quickly, so it seems it's a very big picture for a quick moment. Again, why it's considered a machine, because this is all done in the back end of an operating system. So is programmatic the future of advertising? Yes. As you can see here, the trend shows that since 2012, the programmatic share of digital advertising is continuing to grow. I put a little stat down here, but in 2012, $3.9 billion of advertising was programmatic. In 2021, $147 billion is programmatic. And again, that will just continue to grow. So what are programmatic ads? Kind of covering it. Now, where are they? So I did show you an app, and that is one location they can be. Here are our other units of where programmatic ads can show up. I'm sure you've all heard, but more people are continuing to cut the cord as far as cutting off regular cable. So with that, the advertising world is capturing people still via a TV segment, but it's considered connected TV and OTT. Here you can see the certain networks that could be included that Huddled Masses partners with. And so what we will do is we will target an audience, not an actual platform. So keep in mind, all of this is audience-based. So if an advertiser said, I want to reach men 35 to 55 interested in motorcycles, well, we wouldn't say, okay, we're going to run on Hulu, HBO Max. We set the audience and let the algorithms do the rest. And Huddled Masses gives very in-depth reporting. So what you'd be able to see if you did a campaign with us is the results of where did my ads run? Because a lot of people say, I don't see my ad. You could used to turn on the TV and know your spot was going to be on at 8 p.m. on channel 8. So we want to be as transparent as we can. So what we will show is where majority of your ads have run. And we can track from there which platforms have performed the best. So streaming audio, again, more people are cutting off just regular terrestrial radio, but they're still consuming music and information. Podcasts are huge, I'm sure you all know. So we can actually place your ad on millions of sites, but these are some examples of the partners we use to be able to buy their inventory. Native advertising is you are placing an ad, but it looks more like context and content versus an actual ad, because the idea is somebody's already reading about finances, for example, and then they're scrolling down the page and your ad blends in with the article, because the goal is that your ad is related to something financial. So the end consumer doesn't necessarily know that they're seeing an ad. It's a little trick on the brain. So if somebody doesn't want to be as in your face, this is a good option for them. Email marketing, it continues to grow. People check their emails all day, whether it's on their desktop or their cell phone or their tablet. So this allows us to target people through one of the operating systems that we use more than anything on our computers or on our smart devices. Email newsletters. So we all sign up for email newsletters on topics that we're interested in, whether we mean to or not. And so what we're allowed to do here is take your ad and we will put it on a newsletter from a certain company so that they're already receiving the newsletters from said company. So your ad is just a part of that content that they've already asked to receive. The social boost is taking a social media ad that may have performed very well for you on the social media landscape and taking that and converting it into an ad that can be served programmatically across websites. Digital out of home, it's a newer platform, but we have seen a lot of growth in this since it began. This is your billboards. If you're at the grocery store, if you're in an Uber, if you're at a bus stop, any of those digital billboards, for example, are considered a digital out of home product. And we can also target people through that. We can choose geographic locations. We get a set of inventory that's available. And from there, we can put together a plan of where you want your ads to show up. I keep talking about targeting capabilities. This is a big picture look at some of the capabilities that are out there. So we can buy based on people's hobbies, their health, their food that they eat, the drinks that they drink, the car that they drive, how many cars are in their garage, insurance that they have, demographics, age, education, languages, net worth. Again, you guys can all read, but it just gives you a really good idea of how granularly we can target. Geographic, business to business is a huge thing. When I worked, selling TV, radio, everyone said, well, I'm a B2B company, so this doesn't really work for me. A lot of times advertising is seen more as a B2C platform, but really digital has helped businesses be able to go after other businesses in a way no one else has ever been able to because of the information that we can get, such as job titles, industries, seniority, years in the business, etc. Mobile, I talked about Words with Friends, so that would fall under this category. It's an app. Behavioral, again, who they are, what they're in the market to do, the things that they care about. So for example, I really like to travel. So I, unfortunately, even when I try to turn my travel brain off and say, you don't need to do that, new hotel is targeting me. So then it reopens my interest to book another trip, and the fights with my husband ensue. But point is, even when I'm not thinking about it, the internet is reminding me to think about it. We can also do weather targeting. So if there is a forecast for a certain type of weather, we can know that that is coming and we can start serving your ad. So historical geofencing is interesting. You've probably heard of geofencing, where you create a digital perimeter around a physical address. Well, historical is where we can go back 2 years versus on data where someone has been. So this works really well on the B2B segment. If you're interested in targeting potential customers, you could perhaps take a trade show a year ago in a certain location and say, every device ID that walked into that physical address on March 9th, 2021, I want their device ID and I want to start serving them ads. This also works well, I mean, really for any business, but another example would be a restaurant. If you want to target people to come to your new restaurant, it's a pizza restaurant, you can do a historical geofence around other pizza establishments and say, if this device ID has entered into these pizza establishments within the past year, we want to start serving them ads. So keyword targeting is basically what it sounds like. If I'm on a search engine searching for a term, it's not Google Ads, which I'll get to, but it's captured the fact that you've searched a certain keyword. So we can start targeting ads based on how we know you're searching. We can also take customer lists. If you have a list of customers, whether it's an email database or a past sale database, we can take that information and we can either A, target those people again if they need to be repeat customers, or we do nothing to those people, but we build a segment that looks like your current customer base and start targeting people that are similar to your current clients. Lookalike modeling. So if we're tracking a conversion on your website, for example, it's an online, you're doing e-commerce. If we see a purchase happen, we can take a look at who that purchaser was and build an audience segment that looks like that purchaser and start targeting those people with your ad because they resemble the same behavior as the person that just became your customer. Okay, so social media. Obviously, this is extremely important to any digital strategy. But we are using a different type of targeting for social media. All of the social media platforms you see here are considered a walled garden, meaning that they have their own targeting database. They do not use the same data as programmatic. To be honest, social media is a little bit more strict in targeting. And again, that's why people partner with digital companies, because we're keeping up with the trends of all of these platforms and the new rules that they're making to make sure that your dollars are being invested properly. So I'm sure you've heard of most of these, but this just gives you an idea of the advertising platforms we can use for social. So Facebook, LinkedIn is huge, obviously, in the B2B space. Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok. TikTok's definitely up and coming. And then Twitch and Twitter. So the thing I'll say about social is all of the costs vary. You would be surprised, but LinkedIn is probably one of the highest cost products out there as far as digital marketing goes. And again, working with a company that is keeping up with the trends is very important to make sure, A, you're on the right social platforms, B, your targeting's correct, and C, it works within your budget. So Google, can't forget about Google. Little data on Google, but 3.5 billion searches per day are done on Google, which is a 92% share of the global search engine market. So Google is a very important part to a business structure. However, it is definitely worth a discussion because it is not always the right solution for your business. So talk to a digital professional and work together with your goals and your budget and figure out if it is a good solution for you. So SEM, you might hear it referred to as, is search engine marketing. So I go to Google and I type in insurance companies, Tulsa, Oklahoma. When you see the ads pop up below that, that's considered SEM. They'll usually have a little box on it that says ad. That's how you'll know it's a Google AdWord. SEO, which is organic search, is when you're searching for a product and then non-paid results show up. This is really important to a lot of businesses because they say, how do I get on the first page of Google without paying for it? So that is based on so much data from your website, whether it's your reviews or your tags or your searches, your search history. What Huddled Masses does with organic search is we do an audit before we make any recommendations, because I refer to it as an X-ray. If we go in and start operating on you, but we didn't do an X-ray, we're not going to know what we're fixing. So we can get you higher up on the Google search pages. However, until you really understand what's going on with your website, we don't want to take your dollars and just hope we can fix your problem. We really need to take an in-depth look. Local service ads are up and coming with Google. Google Verified is another thing that people can call it. Basically, this gives you a Google guaranteed check mark. You have to fill out a lot of information as a business, and then you can pay to compete with other Google verified companies so that your company shows up at the top when people are searching. This is growing. So there's a lot of industries that really haven't entered into this space yet, but then there are a lot that are, and they're usually in the law and the home improvement space. So why work with Huddled Masses? Again, like I mentioned, we're an extension of your team. We're a smaller company, so we're really able to be nimble to help meet your needs. So coming from a larger media conglomerate, there were a lot of walls that we had to face. And at Huddled Masses, we're able to kind of knock down those walls together if we feel like it's a good solution for you. Digital is our number one focus. It's all we do. So I hope we're pretty good at it. We kind of have to be. But since we're able to solely focus on digital, it does give us the time and the assets necessary to be able to make it our craft. Again, transparency. We have weekly calls, we have bi-monthly calls, whatever really works for your schedule and what your needs are. I want you to be as involved as you want, and I want you to understand as much as you want to understand. So we make sure we have these calls to show you how your campaign's performing. With the DSPs we partner with, we have large audience targeting, tighter geofences so we can get smaller with actual physical locations, and our rates are competitive. We have omni-channel solutions while just working with one team. So you're not spreading your dollars everywhere. You're working with a one-stop shop that can really help you with all your digital needs. How do you buy digital advertising? It's important to set your goals like it is with any other media plan, and make sure that you work with a professional that wants to help you grow your business and strategize with which strategies will work best. Again, like you saw, there's a lot of places you can invest your dollars, but to get the biggest return on your ad spend, we want to make sure we put them in the right place. So like I said, conversions is a large part of what we do. So we will work with you on your key performance indicators, and from there, we'll decide how we're going to track that, whether it's foot traffic reporting, increased web traffic, form fills, reservations, learn more, appointment booking, online sales, coupon redemptions, etc. So I always use this example because somebody said it to me once and I just love it. At the end of the day, marketing and advertising your business is one of the most important things you can do for it, because if we were throwing a party, if you wanted to host a party and you said, I'm going to get the best band, the best food, the best drinks, I'm going to get the best decor, and then you sit there and no one shows up to your party because you invested in every aspect of your party, but you didn't do one thing. You didn't invite anybody. So you can have the best business around, you can have the best initiatives, but at the end of the day, if people don't know about that, how are they going to know to show up? How are they going to know about you and to shop your business or use you as their healthcare provider? Okay, so that is all I have. Anybody have any questions? I don't think, do we have any in the chat, Elizabeth?
No, we didn't have any questions in the chat right now.
Okay.
So I was kind of wondering, so where are you seeing, I mean, you've provided so much great information and there's so many different options. So tell me a little bit more about when you audit a company, what are you really looking for to help figure out a digital strategy?
So the main thing is, what are you currently doing, right? Whether it's on any other media channels, but also digitally. What have you done in the past? And what are your main goals? So we'll have a discussion about who your target audience is, what your growth or your awareness or your KPIs, like I said, what are those? That's the biggest part of it, is understanding who you want to reach. Why do you want to reach them? What are you looking for as far as results? Now, an audit is done for SEO, which is the organic side of Google. And that is a lot bigger picture. That's where we really have to get under the hood and take apart your website, which we don't actually take it apart, but we look at things like meta tags and are you showing up on all search engines? And is the search engine data that's being fed to them accurate? Because the worst thing you can do online is have inaccurate information or make something hard for a customer. Is your content relevant? We'll take a look at that. Do you need more content? So the audit side of things is a little bit different than just having a conversation about where are you with your digital footprint and where do you want to be?
All right, very good. So one of the questions, do you have any info on Google Screen or Google Max?
I do. I can, to be honest with you, it is newer. So the data that I have on it, I can send out to Elizabeth and she can send it to everybody here. I'm writing it down now.
Thank you for that. I can include that in the email that goes out with the recording. So how does this play into an overall marketing strategy for you?
I mean, the thing is that, like I mentioned, this is digital advertising can hit everybody at a touch point of their consumer journey before they even know that they may be in the market for your product. So we really take a look at the marketing funnel and we figure out which products are best for your strategy. So for example, we say, okay, programmatic is typically a higher funnel tactic. And so we will, your brand awareness is what you're looking for, and you have a certain budget, we'll choose certain platforms versus if you're looking for a lower funnel approach, you say, look, I already have TV ads out there, I already have radio ads, but whenever somebody's ready to buy, how can they find me? Then we may choose something like search engine marketing because it is a lower funnel tactic. It just depends on where you're at with your business and your brand and what steps do you need next. So if people already are familiar with your brand, but you don't want them to forget and you have endless budget, we'll take anything from programmatic to social all the way to the search engine marketing. But if you already have a search engine marketing partner or you're doing it in-house and say, okay, I just really want people that haven't heard of me or aren't Googling something to do with me to know that I'm out there. And that's where we would choose a tactic more programmatic or social and say, okay, these are the audience we want to go after because they obviously are interested in the services I sell. They just don't know about me. So what we'll do is we'll go after those audiences so they become more familiar with your brand.
Very good. So I know that digital marketing and when you get into this space, I mean, pricing can go all over the board. And so some of the companies that I work specifically are smaller businesses that aren't able to invest $12,000 a month.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend for somebody that's just getting into digital marketing?
So I will tell you that I kind of mentioned social. So they're called CPMs, they're cost per thousand. So you're buying impressions and an impression is considered an eyeball. So you're not you're not wasting impressions. They're not just running out there in the digital universe. An actual set of eyeballs has to see that ad to be considered an impression. So your cost per thousands are typically higher in the social space. And then programmatic, I feel like would be a better place to get started. Again, it's so hard because we work with companies all the way from law firms to hospitals to restaurants, right? Everyone has a different need. So we can definitely, honestly, I've told people, if someone comes to me with a budget that I just don't feel like is going to work for them, I'm not going to take those dollars. I would rather them invest those dollars elsewhere than somebody just saying, here's X amount of dollars, I hope it works. We're not going to do that. So we're really going to take a look at what is your budget? Do I feel like these products will work for you? Is there enough audience out there? And are you buying enough impressions to see an impact on your business? Programmatic is probably where I would start based on budget. But again, it's a conversation that can be had because I do have people that have $1,500 a month and we run a small programmatic campaign. Sometimes we have to be a little bit more strategic in our geographical areas or our audiences that we go after. But that's the nice thing about digital is that we can customize it to, you know, we can tweak the solutions based on your budget.
Very good. Does anybody have any other questions you want to ask Jenna today? All right, well, this has been such valuable information. And, you know, this is a growing tool. It's an important tool for your overall marketing strategy. And as the numbers show, it's growing more and more. So being here today and understanding how digital marketing is going to work for your business is really important. And I'm glad you've taken the time to learn a little bit more about that. But yeah, I thank you very much. This has been great.
Thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for your time.
So I'm going to share my screen again, just because I want to kind of share with you what is coming next. All right, so in December, on December 15th, will be the next What Works webinar. And we're going to be talking about marketing tools you need for 2023. So I've gotten a lot of questions about, okay, what tools do you need to really help streamline your marketing efforts? You know, so I'm going to be talking to a lot of the experts that I work with to find out what are their favorite tools, what are their tricks for keeping your marketing strategy on track. So we'll be talking about that in December. We're almost at 18 webinars since this has started. So there is a ton of great information. So if you've missed any webinars in the past, I encourage you to go to YouTube. King PR and Marketing on YouTube has all of the webinars that we have done since the very beginning. So there's a lot of good information out there for you as well. Again, this whole thing is about providing you free tools that you can use to really build your business and your marketing efforts. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, you know, I love networking and connecting. But if you do have any questions about, you know, your marketing for 2023, you've got a specific question, you're wondering, you know, what do I do in this situation? Feel free to reach out to me. We can set up a free 30-minute meeting just to talk about your marketing needs. So with that, I am going to wrap up our webinar today, and I look forward to seeing you all next month. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.